Mortal Kombat has been one of the more lucky game franchises when it comes to adaptations, which is concerning when you look at the amount of stinkers we've had, which just tells you the state of video game adaptations. But generally, our plots, and more importantly our characters, do not get butchered nearly as bad as most others have it. But just how accurate are they? Hello my fellow oddities, and welcome to the top 10 worst adapted Threshold Mortal Kombat characters. For those that don't know, the Threshold timeline consists of MK 1995, MK Annihilation, and MK Conquest. And also maybe Defenders of the Realm, but let's not overcomplicate things, please. I have gone through every single character adapted in these three media and given them a weighted average score from 0 to 100 based on how accurate they are to the source material. Today I will go through the bottom 10, and Saturday I will go through the top 10. This idea was inspired by Fantagonistic's MCU Worst Adapted Heroes video and that series they have on their channel, which you can check out for yourself in the top right hand corner. I will also be using their same criteria, but instead of the 3 C's, it'll be the 3 Ks. Wait a minute. Costume, the character's overall look. Points will be taken off for removing or changing the outfit itself, or physical characteristics such as race, muscularity, or hair. This one is weighted much less than the other two, just cause I didn't want adaptations who only resemble the character in appearance to get too high of a score. Character, the personal aspects of the character and who they are. Points are taken off for changes in personality, and missing or altered movesets and relationships. And finally, continuity, the what, where, and why of the character. Points are taken off for alterations to backstory, major events, and their place in the overall world. And one more thing, this is not as much a critique as it is a fun breakdown. This is not saying that these characters are bad, but simply that they are inaccurate adaptations. I actually like a couple of these depictions, but they are not very faithful to the source material. But enough with the yapping, let's dive straight into the top 10 worst adapted Threshold Mortal Kombat characters. Beginning at number 10, who got a score of 74.4, aka a C, we have Raiden, who appears in Mortal Kombat Conquest and Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Raiden in the games is the demigod bastard son of Argus and an Edenian woman. As a result, he was banished to a simple general rather than member of the royal family. After Edenia is merged with Outworld, he joined Shao Kahn's forces, particularly prominently in the invasion of Earthrealm. He's often depicted as quite arrogant and selfish, frequently being unloyal and treacherous under the guise of a prideful prince. Being a palette swap ninja, he wears a purple ninja uniform and is usually depicted with a darker skin tone. He has both hydro and electrokinesis, allowing him to summon lightning bolts, create high pressure streams of water, and trap opponents in bubbles. In the Threshold universe, Raiden was one of Queen Sindel's guards in Edenia and very good friend of Kitana, who was not just a baby prior to the merger of Edenia in this universe. Just like in the games, after Outworld's invasion and capture of Edenia, Raiden joins Shao's army and is present for the invasion of Earthrealm. Unlike in the source material, however, he gets slimed out immediately by the Emperor after barely doing anything. He wears a very accurate purple ninja uniform, and in Conquest he has dark skin, while in Annihilation he's way lighter somehow. But this Raiden is stoic and emotionless, while completely loyal to Shao Kahn, unlike in the games where he's always switching up on whoever he works for. His friendship with Kitana is not a thing at all originally, and he's no longer a demigod or related to Argus whatsoever. As a result of that last point, Raiden actually has no powers here, he's just a very good fighter, which is the main thing that really drags him down here. Overall, not a complete miss of an adaptation, his story beats are intact, albeit in a very basic form that removes quite a lot, and his look is there. It's in his personality, abilities, and relationships with other characters where he really suffers here. Coming in at number 9 with a big drop in score to a 67.6 or a D+, we have Shao Kahn. Appearing in all three of these media, though only very briefly in 1995, not really enough to be taken into consideration. Shao Kahn in the games is the tyrannical emperor of Outworld who took the realm from his advisee, the Dragon King Onaga, after poisoning him, and now sets out to conquest all the realms with a particular lust for Earthrealm. However, the power of Liu Kang prevents him from obtaining it, even after 2 tournaments and an invasion. He wears a gladiator-like skimpy attire to show off his hulking physique and height, and has the iconic samurai-esque helmet fused with a skull mask. He uses a giant hammer and spear, and has mastery over sorcery. In the Threshold universe, Shao Kahn is the son of Elder God Shinnok and brother of Raiden. The two siblings were forced to fight to the death for status of Elder God, but Raiden refused to kill Shao, resulting in him becoming only a regular God of Thunder, while Shao was banished to the wastelands of Outworld. There, he built his empire through gaining trust and power over the people, creating an army strong enough to conquer all the realms but Earth. When he attempts to capture it through Mortal Kombat, he fails to Kung Lao and Liu Kang, resulting in an invasion which he also fails. So it definitely starts out very inaccurate, but he gets to the place he needs to be. What else is very inaccurate is his look. Now his outfit itself in Annihilation, and especially 1995, is quite faithful. His Conquest look, I don't know what they were thinking. But my main issue is the stature. Neither Brian Thompson or Jeffrey Meek are especially tall, standing at 6'3" and 6'2" respectively, while Shao is meant to be well over 7 foot. To be fair, you're gonna struggle to find a guy that's that tall and can act that well, but considering they got Brian Thompson to do I don't know what, but you can't call it acting, I'm still deducting points for it. Who did act his ass off, however, was Jeffrey Meek, who actually does a fantastic job displaying both the loud, angry Shao Kahn, as well as the calm, collected, and calculated Shao. He can seriously flip on a dime, and I think it's great. Annihilation Shao, on the other hand, is one big goofball, but generally if there are two conflicting portrayals, I'll let the more positive one weigh more. This Kahn also just barely uses his iconic hammer in one scene of Annihilation to kill Rain, and Conquest Shao Kahn has this weird magical sword, but that's about it in terms of weaponry, though he does use sorcery, which is accurate. When it comes to relationships, he hates Raiden, Liu Kang, and Kung Lao, wifes up the resurrected Sindel, and has a very weird and disturbing father-daughter dynamic with Katana. So for the most part, other than being Raiden's brother and having Shinnok as a father, his interactions with the other characters and his place in the world is solid. So some redeeming factors, but mostly not a super faithful depiction of Shao Kahn, especially in terms of backstory, moveset, and design. At number 8, coming in with a slightly lower score of 66.3, a D, we have Raiden, appearing in all three of these media. Raiden in the games is the God of Thunder and Protector of Earthrealm who took down Shinnok many years ago. When Shao sets his sights on Earth, Raiden guides both Kung Lao and Liu Kang to win Mortal Kombat tournaments, which both succeed in. He wears a blue and white outfit with a sort of hood thing that covers his hair and a rice hat. He has powers over thunder and lightning, as well as teleportation and healing. He's fairly stoic most times, though can be more loud and authoritative if needed. Threshold Raiden, as stated earlier, is the son of Shinnok and brother of Shao Kahn, who became the God of Thunder after sparing his brother in combat. After that, it becomes much more accurate, with him leading Kung Lao and Liu Kang to winning Mortal Kombat tournaments. But then he gives up his immortality to fight against Shao Kahn in Outworld, ultimately not accomplishing much and then dying. But hey, at least it motivates Liu Kang to unlock his animality. Win? This Raiden also wears outfits almost nothing like the games. In 1995, he wears an all-white robe and the hat for only one scene, and lets his beautiful white hair loose. In Annihilation, after giving up his immortality, he wears quite possibly the most boring and plain outfit I have ever seen, and in Conquest he has by far the best and most accurate out of the three, which is still just a white robe, but this time with a little bit of blue. His powers are all accurate, albeit not shown very often, most likely for budget reasons, and his place as mentor to the protagonists is as well. His personality, however, is quite different, particularly Christopher Lambert and Jeffrey Meek's Raiden. Jeffrey Meek? Wait a second. They both have a more sarcastic and humorous personality that a lot of fans have wanted to see Raiden have in the games, but has just never come to be. So yeah, Raiden and Shao Kahn have very close scores because they're in a similar place of having the same role they play in the games, but how they got there as well as their appearance are very, very different. At number 7 with a 62.9 score, or a D, we have Nightwolf, only appearing in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Nightwolf in the games is the common and spiritful shaman and protector of the Matoka tribe. Nightwolf is actually a title given by the spirits to whoever they deem most worthy, with the main Nightwolf we know being named Grey Cloud. During the invasion of Outworld on Earth, Nightwolf joins the Defenders of Earthrealm, with his responsibility being to protect his tribe, and all of Earth being destroyed probably wouldn't be that great for them. Hell, natives already aren't treated that well here, just imagine them under Shao Kahn. He wears pretty basic casual clothing, but has the face paint and markings belonging to his title as Nightwolf. He often uses a tomahawk and bow and arrow, sometimes physically, but he can also create them using the power of his ancestors' spirits, which also allow him to manipulate lightning and beams of light. In Annihilation, not much is known about Nightwolf other than he's the shaman of a tribe. He wears a one-to-one outfit with the games, but his storyline is much different. Instead of helping to protect Earth directly, Nightwolf only appears to help Liu Kang find his animality, which is the only ability we see him use as he turns into a wolf. His personality is also changed to be more mischievous, and he's kind of an asshole to Liu Kang. I don't really mind this on a personal level because I think the calm and stoic Native American trope is overplayed, but it is inaccurate. Other than that though, we don't really spend too much time or learn much about this version of Nightwolf, but what we do know is he doesn't help protect Earth against Outworld, has a much more antagonistic personality, but does have a very accurate design, which doesn't weigh much, so he's in the top 10 worst. At number 6, coming in with a score of 59.9, which is the first of what the rest of this list will also be, an F, we have Ermac, appearing in MK Annihilation only. Ermac in the games is a creation of Shao Kahn, the merger of all the souls that Shao had taken over the many years of rule. He is a part of Outworld's army and wears a red ninja costume with sometimes darker or decayed skin. He has a mastery of telekinesis, and with him being an amalgamation of souls, doesn't have a singular lively personality, instead being a collection of dead voices. In Annihilation, Ermac is a red ninja who works for Shao Kahn. That's about it. His personality is dull, not because he's a bunch of souls, but because he's just like that and does nothing important besides fight. He has no powers to speak of other than being able to summon Noob Saibot, which is utterly stupid. He ends up getting killed by Sonya, and that's about it for Ermac. Usually for characters we don't learn much about, I give them the benefit of the doubt. But Ermac is a special case where even though we don't learn much, what we do learn is enough to know he is not the same character. At number 5, with a 58.9, we have Mileena, appearing in MK Conquest and Annihilation. Mileena in the games is the Tarkatan clone of Kitana created under the orders of Shao Kahn to ensure he has a daughter completely loyal to him, as he suspects Kitana could grow to hate him one day, as she ends up doing. She grows up alongside Kitana, but stays loyal to Shao Kahn even after her sister switches sides, resulting in Kitana killing her in MK2, but she gets resurrected in MK3 by Shinnok. She wears a very revealing pink outfit and mask to distract and conceal her Tarkatan mouth of razor-sharp teeth. She's a hypersexual character and often uses her seductiveness to her advantage, but her want for love and acceptance has also led to her being taken advantage of herself. She also uses size and has the ability to teleport. In Threshold, Mileena is a random member of Shao's army who happens to be hideous. This results in her being shunned and her abilities being belittled. Society. This is lip balm. Shao sees her potential though, and uses his magical sword to make her look like Kitana, and send her to kill Kung Lao, but the real Kitana is able to defeat her. Later on, she's seen helping Shao's forces against Earthrealm, fighting but being defeated again by Sonya. This one kind of reminds me of one of those MK Rebirth adaptations, not in the whole magically being made to look like Kitana thing, but Mileena just being a person who's really ugly rather than half Tarkatan is just very funny to me. Anyway, she does wear a somewhat accurate pink outfit, however she's white and has brown hair, not accurate to the games where her hair is black, and Mileena is a very Asian-coded character, being based on the slit-mouthed woman legend. She does use Psy and does teleport in Annihilation, and can be kind of seductive, particularly in her voice, which is pretty good, but the entire structure of the character is shattered. No sisterhood with Kitana, no father figure in Shao Kahn, and no Tarkatan blood. Sure, the insecurity is still present, but it's a bit different just being ugly compared to having giant monster teeth and an uncontrollable lust for blood. At number 4, with a 47.9, we have Scorpion, who appears in all 3 of these media. Game Scorpion. Do I even have to explain this? Hanzo Hasashi was the legendary ninja of the Shirai Ryu. One day, he was sent on a mission by Quan Chi to retrieve the Map of Elements. Sub-Zero, who was there on the same mission, killed Hanzo and took the map. As a reward, Quan Chi killed the Shirai Ryu, rivals to Sub-Zero's clan of the Lin Kuei, and this included Hanzo's wife and child. Filled with rage, Hanzo fought his way through hell to come back to the mortal world and kill Sub-Zero at the first tournament, which he was successful in. He also briefly fights for Outworld during the invasion of Earth, but switches sides after learning the younger Sub-Zero, who he swore to protect, was a part of Earth's defenders. He wears a yellow ninja costume and uses a roped kunai to pull enemies in while yelling, "Get over here!" He can also teleport, and his personality is bitter and rageful up until he gets his revenge, which then it turns a bit more sorrow. In Threshold, Scorpion is not a person, but instead a demon who possesses people and turns them into the yellow specter we're familiar with. He does this with a bodyguard named Takeda, no relation to either character named Takeda in the original games, turning him into Scorpion. He then takes Takeda's ex and turns her into his sidekick, who kills Sub-Zero's sister, causing Sub-Zero to kill her, and that's how their rivalry begins. What? In 1995, in Annihilation, Scorpion is pretty much just a lackey for the bad guys, with 1995 Scorpion being the same one from Conquest, whereas Annihilation Scorp has a different host. All the costumes he wears are accurate, however he's never played by a Japanese actor, which is a big no-no, and his kunai is now a snake or dragon thing that comes out of his hand.
It's a no for me, dog.
He does teleport in 1995 in Annihilation. Both times it looks really weird, but I'll take what I can get. And in terms of personality, yes, he's loud, has an angry voice, and says, "Get over here!" But all the meaning and context behind it of him being a tortured, vengeful soul is gone, making it, ironically, quite soulless. So yeah, Scorpion with no Hanzo is not Scorpion. At number 3, with a score of exactly 27, we have Shinnok, who appears in Annihilation. Shinnok in the games is a fallen elder god who became corrupted with a lust for power and tried to take over the realms. However, he was stopped by Raiden and the other gods and banished to the Netherrealm. He managed to overthrow Satan as the ruler of Hell and began plotting his attempt to take over the realms once again. There, he meets the demon sorcerer Quan Chi, who assists him in his mission. There are some hurdles, such as when Sub-Zero stops him from stealing back his amulet from Raiden, but eventually he's able to grow in power enough to invade Edenia and attack Earth. Shinnok, I don't really know how to describe his look, but he's very colorful and mystical, with white skin and white or green eyes. His personality is very treacherous, but not quite as charismatic as Shang Tsung or even Quan Chi, and his powers consist of a lot of things, but he mostly uses basic sorcery, necromancy, and these bone hands. Shinnok in Threshold is the elder godfather of Raiden and Shao Kahn, and is the one who commands Shao to take over Earth. He looks absolutely nothing like the game version, wearing complete black and looking like a normal person, and does nothing the original Shinnok can, besides float around, I guess, which he only really did in mythologies anyway. Shinnok is also not a fallen elder god, but an active one that is acting behind the back of his brothers and sisters. He does have an amulet, but you can barely see it, and it doesn't really look like the game one. Also, no connection to the Netherrealm or Quan Chi, which are major parts of his character since he was sort of the intro to that side of MK. So yeah, this character doesn't do anything and didn't need to exist, thus we did not need to see Shinnok get butchered. Let Shao Kahn stand on his own as a villain, especially if you're just gonna put this dude in the Phantom Zone at the end of the movie. I'm not even joking. At number 2, the runner-up for the worst Threshold Mortal Kombat adaptation with a score of 18.1, we have Noob Saibot, appearing in Conquest and Annihilation. In the games, Noob Saibot was Bi-Han, the Sub-Zero killed by Scorpion during the first tournament. Bi-Han, like the man who killed him, was resurrected, but instead of a specter, he comes back as a shadowy wraith. He appears as an all-black ninja, skin and all, with the ability to summon a clone of himself, as well as create portals and fire ghost balls. After returning from the dead, Noob began working for Shinnok and would act as an observer of the second Mortal Kombat tournament in Outworld, before joining the forces of Outworld in Mortal Kombat 3's Invasion. In Threshold, Noob Saibot is a Netherrealm native and assassin for hire, who Shao Kahn enlists to kill Kung Lao. He has the ability to transport from one realm to another, and that's it. No clones, portals, or ghost balls. He also looks like this, which is horrifying for all the wrong reasons, and while yes, he is all black, this is obviously no ninja costume, but rather something much different, which I will get demonetized for stating. He has no relation to Sub-Zero or Bi-Han. To be fair, that wasn't a thing when this show came out, but boo-hoo, I guess. And he does return in Annihilation very briefly when he's, like I said earlier, suddenly summoned by Ermac, and at least he looks more like a ninja now, but now he has normal skin. It can't be this hard. In terms of personality, he doesn't have the cold, dark, but also somewhat arrogant personality Noob does in the games. He's just kind of an angry dude who yells a lot. But yeah, pretty much nothing about this character is related to Noob Saibot other than the name, being all black, and I guess the relation to the Netherrealm. And somehow, it does actually get worse than that. But before we get to our number 1 pick, let's talk about 3 dishonorable mentions who just barely did not make the top 10. Kitana, from all 3 of these media, got a 77.7. Not too bad of an adaptation, especially in terms of story, but none of the 3 actresses who play her are Asian, she barely uses her iconic weapons and abilities, her costumes are quite mid, and she has kind of a basic personality. Shiva from Annihilation got a 77.3, mostly because of her dying almost immediately and the actress playing her being way too small. Other than that, her costume was pretty decent, and I appreciate them showing the rivalry with Motaro, but she had a pathetic amount of screen time. And the final honorable mention, who just barely didn't crack the list, Bi-Han as Sub-Zero with a 74.7. The personality he has in Conquest, I know it's not Bi-Han by the way, but I'm gonna pretend that it is pretty much the only adaptation to get Bi-Han's personality right. However, the storyline with his sister and Scorpion, as well as the casting being of a not Asian actor, really hurt him here. But finally, at number 1, the worst Threshold Mortal Kombat adaptation is, with a measly score of 13.8, we have Jade from Annihilation. Jade in the games is the lifelong bodyguard of Katana, the sister Katana always wanted but never really saw in Mileena. Jade and Katana worked alongside each other to serve Shao Kahn for many years, and when Katana betrayed the Emperor, Jade was right there by her side and joined the Defenders of Earth in MK3. Jade has dark skin and a green outfit, a staff that sometimes glows pink, and a razor ring, which is basically a sharp boomerang. She can also activate a shadow ability that makes projectiles move right through her, and her personality is pretty lighthearted, cheeky, and somewhat seductive, but she can be tough when she needs to. Jade in Threshold has no relationship with Katana whatsoever. Instead, she's just one of Shao Kahn's spies who tries to infiltrate the good guys and pretend to be on their side. She leads them into an ambush but ultimately lets them get away, and she's punished with death. Her personality is the evil seductress archetype, and she is very evil, contrary to the game Jade, who, despite being an assassin, is compassionate and loyal to Katana, immediately switching sides when she realizes the monster that is Shao Kahn. She does wear green and uses a staff in one scene, but doesn't seem to have any special abilities, and is played by a light-skinned Asian actress, which is completely disrespectful to the character of Jade, the first black female character in Mortal Kombat history. And even if you very dumb and stupid people want to try and argue she's not black, tell me that these are the same skin tone. We learn pretty much nothing of this Jade's backstory, hell we don't even know if she's a Denian, and in personality, this is clearly Tanya and not Jade. And besides being green, this character goes against everything the source material should be, which is why she's number 1. And that will do it. Reminder that I am releasing the top 10 best Threshold adaptations this Saturday, so be on the lookout for that. And comment down below whether you agree with my top 10 worst adaptations, and if not, who you would put in yours. Subscribe and leave a like if you want, and that's wraps on this one, my fellow oddities. I'll see you next time.